My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Acre, Mississippi, 38841. I am still under attack by Scientology. So let me explain what Scientology is. There are more than 3 dimensions. This is a fact. There are 12 dimensions in total. We have biology in these extra dimensions. 12-dimensional biology. So 12 dimensions worth of extra organs and tissues that you can't see while you are alive. Scientology is the practice. We utilize this extra dimensional biology to have an afterlife. The human genome produces a 12-dimensional humanoid designed to fly through outer space. We die and we go live among the stars. We have big heads, big torsos. We have a head covering that has 2 horns on it. We have extra brain tissue, extra organs in our head and in our thoracic cavity. Our hearts and lungs are very big. We have an extra set of lungs on the back of us. We have these tubes that come out of our feet to expel waste. We have a soul tube. It's a sexual organ that runs from the gonad area all the way up to the brain. We have extra brain stems and extra organs and tissues. We have short arms and big hands. We are Anunnakis. That is the human bloodline and the human afterlife experience. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before they die. They remove it from themselves and they use technology and techniques to turn them into upper dimensional vehicles, biologies in which they can drive through the upper dimensions, also known as aliens. And they look alien in appearance. So there are a group of people on Earth driving aliens onto my location and using them to harm me and my family. They are stealing biology, my extra dimensions. They are stealing all of it. I've lost over 90% of my extra dimensional biology to these people. This technology also gives them the ability to drive other organisms that are not their own. They can drive humans, animals, insects, and worms in any dimension. They are using this technology to drive worms through me, parasites, big worms with teeth, utilized as a weapon. They keep me filled full of them. They are extra dimensional parasites that can be removed easily, but I've been filled with them for years. They put them in me and they grow them up really big and then use them to assault me. So what they have done to me recently. Yesterday I took a couple of pain pills and I couldn't feel it right off the bat. One of these aliens came and fixed some nervous tissue that they destroyed, and I started to feel the pain pills again. And I went to work, and they let me feel them at work. They let the pain pills work. But when I came home last night and went to sleep, they ravaged my biology. They started cutting nerves off, cutting brain tissue, cutting my nervous tissue to make the pain pills stop working again, and that worked. I could no longer feel the pain pills. They don't want me to have any pleasure at all. They don't want me to be able to sleep well. They don't want me to be able to feel pleasure. They don't want me to have sexual intercourse. Every time I do something like sleep, they assault my brain tissue and nervous tissue to wake me up, to keep me awake. Every time I take a drug or my medicines, they assault my brain and central nervous system to keep my medicines and drugs from working on me. Every time I masturbate, they assault my sexual organs to try to keep it from working anymore. Every time I have an emotional response, they assault my thalamus and my brain. They don't want me to have an emotional response anymore. They don't want me to feel good or have any pleasure at all. And today, about an hour ago, or a couple of hours ago, I took a nap. I woke up missing more brain tissue. They took a lot this time. Uh, They took big chunks from this side of my brain and the back of my head and the top of my head. So there are a few reasons why they want my extra dimensional biology. First, I have to mention there is an entanglement property between our third dimension and our extra dimensions. If you remove a piece of extra dimensional biology, no matter where you take it in the universe, it acts as if it's still there. What happens is the electron shell travels around all 12 dimensions, including the third dimension. So our electrons travel around a 12-dimensional particle. And you can't remove energy from this particle. The particle will be destroyed. So the electron makes a perfect circle every time it travels around the atom, no matter what. If you remove energy from that particle, the electron still makes a perfect circle around the atom. So it moves space-time out of the way. Space-time warps and conforms to ensure that energy never leaves the particle. No matter where it goes in the universe, the electron makes a perfect circle around the particles we consist of. So you can't remove energy from the particles we consist of. The particles will be destroyed. So they are using this entanglement property to hurt me. They are taking my extra dimensional biology to remote locations, and they are doing things to it like filling it full of worms, parasites, foreign objects, uh, torture devices, technology. So that's one of the reasons they're doing it, to obtain voodoo dolls, so to speak, torture devices. Then they want part of my biology for transplant purposes. So in order to complete their alien forms, they need organs and tissues from other humans and other species such as reptiles, insects, and worms. They take biologies from these organisms and complete their alien forms. They have to leave organs and tissues behind so the origin biology, the owner of these biologies, can still function properly. So then they are left with organs void, or left with biologies void of vital organs and tissues. So they take organs and tissues from other humans and other species to complete their alien forms. They make various alien types. There are the blue bloods, green aliens, grays, whites, browns. There is a whole host or a whole plethora of alien types. There's all kinds of different alien types made of different biologies, different techniques. They make lizard people using lizard body parts. They make insectoids or bug people using bug body parts. And they make worm people using worm body parts. So they want part of my biology for transplant purposes, specifically brain tissue. They are trying to somehow harness my intelligence and put it on another human being. They want an alien that has the ability to create and write literature as I do. I'm an author. I write literature in my spare time. And then this technology gives them the ability to drive other organisms that are not their own. They call these organisms surrogates. They can take a human biology, use technology and techniques, and turn it into a little biology they can drive around. They call them surrogates. So they're using some of my biology for transplants, some of my biology they're using it for surrogate purposes, and some of it they're using as a voodoo doll, as a torture device. I am still entangled with that extra dimensional biology, even though it's been removed from me. I had to experience everything it goes through. They do things to it like torture it, fill it full of worms, cause it pain, drive worms to it, fill it full of torture devices or foreign objects or technology. And then they do things to it like dropping it out of a hole in space time. This causes it to burn up. Space time causes friction when you fall through it. And they push biologies out of holes all the time to get rid of them. And it's my skin burns all the time. They have to cover it up. They have the ability to cover up the pain and the damage. Some kind of life support system. They call it a human bob. They wrap a biology around it so you can't feel it anymore. They wrap something around or extra dimension so you can't feel what they're doing to it. So they try to cover up the damage to me, the pain, while they do this to me, and then they'll uncover it every once in a while and subject me to the torture. So this is Scientology. So let me explain their technology a little bit, because this is important. First off, this entanglement property gives them the ability to create a hive mind, telepathy. They like to take brain tissue from the users, take it to a remote location. They have facilities that house body parts, and they put their biologies in a storage system. And within these storage systems, they interface this biology to a computer system. This allows the users to interact with each other in a digital landscape. They can communicate with each other, have sexual relations, uh, and interact with each other, play with each other. They have like little video games and stuff like that in this digital landscape. And these facilities also act as a command center, which allows them to drive their alien forms. So they can drive the rest of their alien forms within these command centers. They also have technology that interfaces with brain and central nervous system tissue on the origin biology in our third dimension and in the alien forms. Some of this technology is sensory perception recording technology. So they record sensory perception input: sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. This also adds to the technology, their hive mind technology. They can share in each other's sensory perception input. Like they can taste what each other tastes, smell what each other smells, hear and see what each other hears. They can feel what each other feels. And some of it artificially stimulates brain and central nervous system tissue. They can isolate individual memories and neurons and stimulate these memories. They can make you experience a memory, or they can make you see things. There's a brain screen, a screen that goes in front of the thalamus, and they hook it up to your eye nerves, and you can see it replaces the visual cortex in your brain. You can see things on the screen inside of your head. It's part of their telepathy and hive mind technology. They can isolate individual memories, neurons, and even thought patterns. They can put you in a thought pattern. They can make you angry, sad, happy. They can make you feel joy. They can even make you cry or have an emotional response by stimulating brain tissue. They also use this technology to get them high. It has a narcotic like effect upon the user. They run energy through their neurons and their glands. This elevates neurochemicals such as dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and hormones such as growth hormone, testosterone, and estrogen. It has an extremely narcotic like effect upon the user. And it is causing some severe psychological issues within these people. They are psychotic, delusional, extremely irritable. They all have irritability syndrome. They are quick to become violent. Childish tendencies are rampant among these people. They are petty, jealous, greedy. Toxic masculinity is rampant among these people, and they are experiencing something akin to roid rage because of their elevated dopamine and testosterone levels. They are extremely hostile and violent people. On top of this, they are conditioned to do body parts. So Scientology is literally the act of removing extra-dimensional biology from an organism. First, they do this to help people practice Scientology to create alien forms. So they cut biologies off of people daily, constantly, 24/7. And they help them create their alien forms. And then there's their surrogate making. They take biologies from other humans and other people, first for transplants to complete their alien forms, and for surrogate making. They make little Barbie dolls they can drive around out of our biologies. They are conditioned to remove body parts for a living. That's all they do. They see great value in removing body parts. They are conditioned to do this. And then their delusional mindset and their this narcotic-like daze that they're in, that is all they do. They see it as very important. They put high value on removing biology. To them, it's some kind of spiritual or sacred event, practice, removing body parts. And Scientology has created this cult-like behavior. They do things like seances, where they torture body parts and put them down holes, or they torture people to death. They kill people. And then there are our combat professionals. So there are people within our Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, police officers, and the military. They kill people for a living. They kill people for fun. And they're playing this game with people. They judge people. So everything they do, if the people that they are watching, they're targeting, if they do something to set these people off, like smoke a cigarette, they attack me for smoking cigarettes, or taking a drug, or doing something that they claim is bad. They assault me for it. They have seances and they plan to torture me to death. These are combat professionals working within the American border. They are assaulting American citizens without due process. And then they victim shame their victims. They blame everything on their victims. And they try to create these false narratives which somehow justify their criminal behavior towards their victims. They are extremely hostile and violent people. So this all started for me over 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago. They made first contact. Some civilians found me on social media participating in politics and writing literature. I participated in politics a lot, had a lot of debates. I persuaded votes, persuaded hearts and minds, and I wrote literature a lot. And I helped people come up with their own ideas. I inspired a lot of people. So some Scientologists decided to install devices in my brain. They wanted to read my thoughts and invade my privacy. It was marketing companies and social media companies that made first contact. They installed the first technology. This became apparent. They started using their platforms, such as social media, to communicate with me, and it was apparent that they were seeing into my environment and they got too close. I was a weapons manufacturer for the United States government and the public. I made less lethal munitions, plus lethal munitions, and weapon parts for the military. It was a classified setting. You can't come into my environment like this. Civilians can't just show up and start reading my thoughts and looking through my eyeballs at classified technology. I told them to get away from me, to leave me alone. I did not accept their advances. Then the government came and they assimilated me into the hive mind. They took biology and they installed technology in my brain, which gave me telepathy, and they installed a screen. I started to see people in this digital landscape. They told me they had found a device, but some of these people were hostile. They were threatening me and harassing me right off the bat. Their first words to me were harassment. And some of these people were irritated at me because I had debates about religion on social media. How I was agnostic, I didn't believe in God. And they know who God is. It's one of their big aliens. It's hedonistic practices with these people. There is no God Almighty creator. They're all aliens that have gotten up here and grown to major sizes. Aliens, they expand at a greater rate than we do in the third dimension. They grow massive compared to us. So there are giant humans walking around on Earth and in outer space, flying around. Giant humans, lizard people, insectoids, worm people, humanoids, aliens, and Anunnakis, all surrounding Earth. This is Scientology, and that's the extra dimensions. This is what goes on in the extra dimensions. Scientology kills people. They torture people, rape, murder, kidnapping, human trafficking, and they force assimilation upon people. people they are interested in, such as government officials, CIA agents, FBI agents, military personnel, anybody with any kind of authority or abilities. They forced assimilation upon these people. They forced them into the hive mind or forced them to practice Scientology so, so they can control their behavior and get something out of these people. They are doing this with our government at this moment, politicians too, because they try to keep themselves out of trouble. They are breaking the law against humanity, and they are trying to keep themselves out of trouble. Marketing companies, social media companies, they are stealing people's biologies and installing technology in the public while they are unaware. This technology controls our algorithms, the ads we see on the internet and social media, and the people we meet and see. They are using the information gained from this technology to control our algorithms. They are invading our privacy with technology and Scientology techniques. The FBI is using Scientology's tech to put people under surveillance. So they steal biologies and install technology within their people of interest. The CIA does too. And the military, I have no idea why they're interacting with the public. But they kill people. They have roid rage, toxic masculinity. They're all high as a kite, murdering people. They have violent tendencies and they are conditioned to do body parts. They plan to torture me and my family to death and then send us to hell. So we will suffer in the afterlife if they go through with their plans. They plan to artificially stimulate parts of my biology and my family's biology after I'm dead, and I will have to experience whatever environment they are subjecting me to, whether it's torture devices, acid, foreign objects, damage, fire, heat, pushing me out of a hole, the friction from falling. I'll have to experience all of this torture in the afterlife. They're doing the same thing to my animals. This is Sissy. They're doing the same thing to her. She's an old chihuahua. This is my baby. They do the same thing to her and my other chihuahuas. They make her itch constantly. They have gave us worms in our skin. Me and her both are filled full of worms in our skin, and they use these worms to torture us. They make her itch uncontrollably, especially whenever they wake me up in the middle of the night. They like to make it unbearable. So they had to give me brain tissue so I can go to sleep at night. They had to give me some of the brain tissue they removed. They had to put it back in my brain and repair some of my nerves so I can sleep at night. They let me sleep for minutes or just a few hours, and then they wake me up violently by pulling out that brain tissue, assaulting my nervous tissue, and then they assault me with worms. Like they have to poke me in the throat. They have worms behind my esophagus. They make me sneeze and cause me pain, and then they make Sissy itch uncontrollably. So we're both up freaking out, wondering what the heck's going on. So after assimilation 14 years ago, after first contact, there was conflict. Some of the hive members started harassing me. So they turned off the hive mind technology. But they made it one way, where civilians and the government could still invade my privacy, read my thoughts, and experience everything I experienced. But I could not experience what they experienced. I could not hear their voices. I could not read their thoughts or hear their inner voice. But they could hear my thoughts and read my inner voice. And this was apparent because people still communicated with me through platforms and through internet ads, subliminal messaging, and even direct messaging. It wasn't long before people started stealing my intellectual property. The things that I was working on, my studies in science and philosophy, and my works of literature, people started using my works in their own work. bloggers, authors in magazines, especially on the internet. Then I became violently ill. I could feel things stuck inside of me, stuck inside of my ear, my brain, my face. My whole face swelled up, went sideways. I got a lazy eye. I started going to the doctor and getting x-rays done to figure out what was going on. I knew they had stuck something inside of me. They had somehow gotten something inside of me, but it was not apparent yet that there were extra dimensions. I thought this was all third dimensional technology they were using, some kind of nanotech. And then I wrote more and more intellectual property. Well, one day they turned the hive mind technology back around. They turned it both, made it two ways again. And I started to hear voices and see things again. And they were extremely hostile. They started stealing body parts, specifically brain tissue. So they got to witness me write all of my literature and all of my works and ideas. And they started selling seats to other Scientologists to allow people to invade my thoughts and my privacy and steal my ideas and my works. They wanted to somehow harness my ability to create and put it on another human being. They tried tethers. They tried tethering me to another human being, a female or females. So the words that come out of my mouth also came out of their mouth, or they tried to somehow do that. Then they started stealing brain tissue and using it for transplants. And then they used it also in their machines. And they tried to somehow harness my neurology or the use of my neurology. They tried to use my brain themselves without me in it. They said, which works actually. It doesn't work. They can stimulate brain tissue. And they do something to our neurons to give us this aura like with this hive mind technology. It allows us to feel this presence in each other or this aura, this ability. And they became particularly attracted to mine. They're all delusional. Then it turned into a snuff film. They filled me full of parasites and they started damaging my biology over and over and over again. Everywhere it was lighting up, they damaged. They don't want me to get rest or feel pleasure in any way, so they damaged my brain and central nervous system tissue. It all started with my psych medication. I'm on psych meds, and they calm me down, way down. They make me relaxed. They have an effect on my central nervous system. So they cut me from limb to limb one night. My legs, my arms, my back, my spinal column, my brain tissue. They cut me to pieces. And I've done drugs several times, and they did the same thing. They cut me to pieces to keep me from experiencing the effects of the drug that I was taking. They use this telepathy to harass me, berate me. They keep saying, you kill kids, so we can do whatever we want to you. When that don't work, they call me a child molester. They say that I've done drugs too much. My drug use caused all this. Somehow this is my fault. I've done something to justify their criminal behavior against me. However, I have witnessed these people kill others in the same fashion. Scientology has wiped out a lot of people, and they kill people in the same manner. They remove body parts, they use parasites, and they install technology in their brains, and they harass people and assault them to death. They have roid rage and a God complex. They all think that they are above the law. Because of the Scientologists and the government are also breaking the law against humans, they are allowing the public to get away with this. Mutilation, torture, dissection, biological theft, body snatching, rape, murder. I am sick. I'm weak. I stay dizzy. I have brain fog. I feel numb. I feel like most of me is dead inside now. I used to be live and vibrant and full of life. Worked every day, had hobbies, played video games and music, and had all these different kind of hobbies that I used to do. Used to hunt and fish a lot, and all these different things. And I worked a lot, and I felt good. Now I don't. I'm sick. They are premeditating my death, murder. They're going to torture me to death. One of them said, as soon as we remove the rest of your biology, they're infatuated with brain tissue. They removed a big chunk of it today. They're planning on removing even more and more of my organs and tissues. They have done things to me like stuck these foreign objects, these long poles, up my rectum and broke my diaphragm, and it went all the way into my throat and made me throw up. There's a video of this. They filled me full of them. They keep me filled full of parasites, big worms with teeth. They've been driving worms under my toenails. They have been busting tendons and blood vessels and nervous tissue all over my body. They come by and pop a blood vessel every once in a while. They do the same thing to my brain. So lastly, I have to explain an aspect of our universe that these people get to utilize. It is about time. Time is not just a linear event. Time is also a simultaneous event. That means someplace in the universe, time is purely a simultaneous event. It's like you can step outside of the expansion zone into the void, turn around, and you see the universe as a thing, a static object, where the past, the present, and the future have already happened. They're all happening at the same exact time. And these aliens can interact with the universe from this perspective. That means at this moment, I'm being born. At this moment, my dad is naming me Christopher in the hospital. That's my middle name is Christopher. At this moment, I'm being assimilated. That means at this moment, or some moment in the future from our perspective, Christianity is being created. Ancient people are starting to hear voices and see big humans in the sky, which can be explained by Scientology. And they're telling these ancient humans to worship this Christ that's going to get martyred to death, worship his martyrdom. And it's about me. The entire Christian religion was wrote over the event pertaining to me, this whole event. Because I'm a do-gooder. My intellectual property and my works in politics is to save lives and to help life on this planet grow and develop and evolve. It's supposed to save the world, save the universe. My intellectual property does. So these Scientologists in their delusional mind state, they think they're going to torture me to death in this cultish religious practice and then steal my intellectual property and use it for themselves to save the planet, to somehow add to the justification to what they have done to me. Please get away from me. I do not consent for you to be here. I do not consent for you to speak to me in my own home. You are not welcome here. You are not allowed to speak to me. Leave right now. Get this technology out of my head. Get my biology out of your facilities. I do not consent. You are breaking the law. Leave now. This is what I've been dealing with for the last 14 years. The Scientology community harasses and kills people.